public time?
It's public time if you...
Mike Petrosella, Chesterland trustee. I guess my question is to the board is, what happened with our NOACA appointments? Why don't we have our county engineer on the board for NOACA? Who's the road guy for the county? He knows what all our road needs are, and I think the public should get an explanation of why we appointed a two-time voted out person to that position.
To an alternate position.
Well, on that board as an alternate. Clearly, when the people voted her out twice, I think that the public needs an explanation why we put her back on.
We didn't put her back on, I did.
Okay?
Okay? Because at the time, she's the most experienced, and she's a resident of the county.
More experienced than the engineer?
More experienced at NOACA.
More experienced than the engineer.
Okay, if you can use that word.
Who cares
Last year I appointed...
Who cares about NOACA?
Excuse me, sir, I'm talking.
All right.
Okay.
I apologize.
You asked the question, I'm answering it. I appointed the engineer last year. He was my alternate. He went to 3 meetings. In the entire year, he went to 3 meetings. And the one meeting I went to, because he couldn't make it, 7 meetings, we had to take action and pass a resolution to send help me out here, the engineer, Shane. Deputy engineer, thank you. We had to send a deputy engineer 7 times, and 3 times no one went because we didn't get notification from our engineer that he couldn't make it in time that we could pass a resolution, so we didn't have anybody to go there. And I had other commitments. So, while the engineer I consider a friend of mine, having him not there isn't a asset. Just having him on paper as the alternate is not an asset. Mary Samiti, now if I go, she sits at home. But she had, of the people available to me to pick at that time, she had the most experience, and she's a Geauga County resident. And if we're going to talk about Geauga County issues, I think we need to have Geauga County people. We hear that enough that the argument with NOACA is we don't want people in those 4 counties making decisions for us. Well, okay, if that's the rules by which we're going to play, then we need to have somebody in our county making decisions for us. That's it. That's why I did it, and that's the end of the conversation. We can go on with the acknowledgments if you want.
Well, I have a comment on that.
I'm looking for...
First of all, from a overall county engineer perspective, just so everybody knows, Mike, you have been attending our meetings. We did put a resolution forward to NOACA requesting, as the minimum standard in NOACA, that our county engineer and the 3 commissioners be included. And that was submitted on Friday. They considered it. They put it into the system. We need to ask them for a correction because they used that as a replacement for the other resolution that's been in the works for a year, in which 2 commissioners, we get to choose who sits in a seat. And so
No, that's not true.
And so, yes, it is true. And
No,
so,
it's not true.
So we have 2 commissioners, and then we would have a county engineer in position. So, but NOACA chose to replace that particular resolution with a new resolution, and we can discuss whether or not we want to do that or make a request that they consider both. And the one's been in the works for a year.
To correct my colleague, that isn't what he just said is not true. Each commissioner here has a term. One of us starts on the 1st, one of us starts on the 2nd, and one of us starts on the 3rd of January. The rotation during the 2 commissioner proposal assigned commissioners not by name, because that would change, but by date of the date we start our job. The proposal was for 2 commissioners, and it's better if you diagram it, which we can't do. But 2 commissioners sit here, and on the same level is the engineer. the engineer, his alternate, he picks from his staff. The two commissioners that are here, the third commissioner that's in the idle, I'll use the word idle position, is automatically the alternate for one of the commissioners if they don't make it. It rotates around. The argument posed by you and Ralph last year was that it should be someone who is in elected office or the elected officer picked. So the proposal that was sent down there last year ensured that there would always be that scenario. You were the litmus test because you were not an elected officer. You were not a county employee. That was the other consideration. It had to be a county employee. That went down. It got shot down or never acted on. You went to the meetings. I believe it wasn't acted on. But it was not. You got to pick the commissioners. You can pick the rotation, but then it's set going forward by the date that we take office. I got the paperwork.
It's not worth the discussion.
Well, I'm just. I don't want
to. The bottom line is you get two commissioners and an engineer in the past resolution. But let me make this point real quick. And I attended the Friday meeting, as did Kim, Lori, in the place of Ross Spitaler as his alternate. And here's what I observed. And by the way, my alternate happens to be Linda Brahimi, who is a Lake County resident, but who is also a 10-year employee of this county, served this county with distinction. She does a fantastic job. She probably knows as much about this county and has as much interest in protecting this county or upholding this county's values and principles as anybody that I know. I'm very comfortable with Linda. And she has served as an alternate for multiple commissioners sitting at this table well before me, Tracy Jamison and others. And so she's a lot of experience. When I have somebody sitting at that table, and by the way, with all due respect to Linda, it's not likely she'll be there much because I attend all the meetings. But on some happenstance, if I should break a leg or whatever, then Linda will be going there, and I'll be very comfortable with that because she adheres to the values and principles that I would take to that board. She knows how I think. She knows what it is that I would say. She represents me at that table. Here's what I saw on the part of Mary Samiti, who is a lifelong, or not a lifelong, but a very long duration resident of Geauga County. She voted to raise your taxes, or to support raising your taxes in Friday's meeting. She voted to undermine the county, the state constitutional law that says we're going to use road tax dollars only for roads. That's what the people signed up for. That's what the promise was to people when the 28 cents a gallon was established to take care of our roads. It was a promise we're going to take care of the roads. She voted to lobby against that, to change the Constitution, to allow those dollars to now be used for mass transit and to be used for bicycle trails, other things, thereby diluting the money that goes into our roads. She voted for a regional plan, which I would love to show you. We're not going to get into a lot of details behind that regional plan, which Kim and I both voted opposed on Friday, that would undermine Geauga County's future, because it involves transferring of our dollars under the guise of cost sharing to Cleveland. So the question that I have is, who best represents Geauga County? Somebody who is supporting NOACA's objectives of all about Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, using our tax dollars to support their programs and so on and so forth. This whole regional concept of unification across the region, or somebody whose best interest is Geauga County and protecting Geauga County citizens and tax dollars. And so I've got real concerns over Ms. Samiti, who was voted out of office twice for the very reasons that I stipulated. And so I've got concerns about that. Now, Blake has a right to pick the person that he picks. And
I would like you to clarify something that
Sure,
you just stated there. You talked about the piece of legislation that mentioned bike paths, because bike paths is a buzzword. Mm-hmm. Is that not the multimodal piece? that would also include money for Amish buggy lanes?
No, we're not.
I believe it is, but that's all right.
We're not talking about the same thing.
No, well, okay, we may not be talking about the same thing, but you didn't make it clear. But I know that we are in favor of modifying rules there to include something that would affect Geauga County, which is whether it's a widening of the street, most probably, like on 528, and providing a buggy lane over on the side so that we can hopefully eliminate the semi-annual occurrence of car buggy crashes and so on. And I'm sure, like it is with every other law in the world, things get tacked on. The point of the issue is you can say all you want. You can pick your person. He can pick his person. I pick my person. And that's the end of the discussion. I mean, we can sit here and just hash it out all day, or we can continue this and adjourn, or I can just leave.